We can sit here. I know it feels comfortable. I know it does. But you might want to look up. I wonder what's up there. What more could we do? How much more could we grow? How many more people can we impact? One of the main themes that I talk about all the time, is making sure that we are thinking strategically, right? When that means, generally speaking, when we as business owners, as leaders, as team leaders, when I say think strategic, you go, okay, I need to think about this specific goal. Like we've got this long-term goal. We want to grow our business by this much. We want to add this many clients. We want to reach this specific place where we're going. We were down at the offsite discussion the other day, and I started telling the group that was down there at council the other day some of the things that I have told the executive leadership team over the past 5 years at Echelon Front. And I wanted to talk through some of those. The first one I want to tell you about is get the team aligned in what they're thinking about. Not just the goals, but actually how you're thinking. Do you understand that difference? You understand the difference between those two things? Like you and I have a goal to reach this number on financially, we're going to get there. But that's one part of strategic thinking, but how are we actually thinking? Remember what it feels like to be a slave. I realized at a pretty young age that I had to do what my parents said. I was confined by their rules. And then I got shipped off to school, and now I have to do what these teachers tell me to do. And I didn't like that feeling. And then eventually I tried to get away from that feeling. And one of the best ways to do that was I said, all right, I'm going to go in the military. You won't be able to tell me what to do anymore. No more teachers, no more parents, I'm out. Which is kind of a warped way of thinking, right? You're going to go in the military to get away from people telling you what to do? So I get in the military. But you know, in my back of my mind, I was like, yeah, but I'm going in the SEAL teams. You know, we do what we want. No one's giving you orders in the SEAL teams. You don't have to follow any rules, right? Because this is what an idiot I was. What happened was I'm working for these people, and now I'm in the SEAL teams. Someone's still telling me what to do. It's like, okay, how can I avoid this? Oh, I gotta get to a point where I can have influence and tell people what to do instead of me getting told what to do. And I realized it wasn't about telling people what to do. That's not what we're doing. And the good leaders that I had never told me what to do. I always kept that mindset of, I want to be able to do what I want to be able to do. The best compensation there is that you can give to another human being is autonomy and ownership. And most people, generally speaking, that's what they want. They want some kind of autonomy. So remember what it's like to be a slave for yourself. And by the way, how do we get away from what's the opposite of slavery? It's freedom. How do we get freedom? Discipline, hard work. That's how we get there. So this idea, keeping that in mind, not only for us of what it's like to be a slave, but then also thinking that what you want to do as a leader, what you want to do is provide that freedom to the people around you. So think about the fact and try and encourage your team to want freedom. And they're going to work harder for it. And they're going to make things happen. If you treat your people like slaves and you crush them, they're not going to give you everything that they can. It just won't happen. So there's an example of trying to get the team, everyone on the team, like, oh, I don't want to be a slave, and I don't want anyone that works for me to be a slave. I want freedom across the board. How are we going to get there? We're going to get through discipline and hard work. So there's a strategic thought process for the Echelon Front team to take with them. Get them aligned on that. The things that we know, the things that we teach, we know for a fact, and we've seen it over and over again, that if someone takes these principles and puts them into their lives and puts them into their families and puts them into their business, they can change their world. You can totally take all these little problems that you got in your life with your family and your relationships and your business and your employees and your health, and you can take all those problems, and if you take ownership of them, all of a sudden you're moving it in the right direction. It's magic power. Cover and move. Oh yeah, if you and I are working together, but we're not working together, our business isn't going to function properly. Hey, you know, Chris, if you got your teammate here, Steve, and he's not carrying his weight, how do you handle it? How can I help you? Where can I support you? Can I take some of those tasks off your plate? And that right there, that little dynamic, as opposed to, hey, you didn't get your task today. What's wrong with you? So it's magic to be able to say, oh, if someone's not carrying their weight, my assumption isn't that there's something wrong with them. My assumption is that there's something wrong with me and I need to help them out. That's magic. Simplifying things is magic. Prioritize and execute, trying to do 114 different things at the same time ain't gonna work. People try and do that all the time. It doesn't work. If we can prioritize and execute, magic. And then decentralize command. That's magic. Understand the mission, knows what the intent is, and handling something that I didn't think of until it was way too late. And that happens 1,000 times a day. Another topic that I talked about strategically, and I wanted the team to be thinking in a strategic manner. I put up a slide on PowerPoint, and it was of a terrarium. Anyone know what a terrarium is? Who knows what a terrarium is? What is it?
Like an indoor aquarium for spiders.
Yeah, you can put spiders and lizards or whatever. I used to live in this terrarium. And I was like that snail. And you know what? You put a snail in a terrarium, and you put 3 leaves in there and some water, that freaking snail is stoked. He's got everything he needs. I mean, when I was in the Navy, and I became an officer, and I bought a little tiny house down by the beach. I could, if you went on my roof, you could see the ocean. In my mind, I was like, I literally have made it. And one day I was in that terrarium and I was like, hey, I wonder what's up out there. Wonder what's outside. And I crawled up and I looked around and guess what? There was a lot more going on in the world. There was bigger terrariums, and I put another picture up on that side. It was like, it was a glass terrarium. And it had little rock formations and a stick in there. And I went to that terrarium. And like technically speaking, I actually bought another house. And I could watch the sun. I could see the ocean from this one room. In between some other houses, I could see the ocean. I was like, dude, I'm set. And I could, on certain months of the year, I could see the sunset. And now, bruh, I am freaking set. And then one day I looked up at the roof, and I was like, wait a second, there's a little hole there. I wonder what's up there. And I climbed. So this happens to us. We get in our world, we get to a point where we're really happy with what's happening. It happens in our business. We can sit here. I know it feels comfortable. I know it does. But you might want to look up and say, what's out there? What more could we do? How much more could we grow? How many more people can we impact? I wanted everyone to be thinking, yes, I'm comfortable, but how can we climb? How can we do more? And then the last one of these that I'll share with you. So what can happen to us as our companies grow, as our businesses grow? We can start forgetting where we came from. This does not mean you don't evolve. We have to evolve. So what we have to do as leaders, how you got to where you are when you were a cowboy or you were default aggressive or you were making things happen or you were doing things yourself, all those things that you had to do to make it to this level at a certain point, you've got to evolve. You've got to change. You have to. There are so many key components of growth and leadership that you have to evolve and you have to become more mature. But my point in saying don't forget where you came from is don't forget where you came from. These are some of the strategic points. And feel free to steal them. I know John went through a list of me yesterday of like things he stole directly from council and then just applied them to his life and they had a huge impact. So great, steal them. That's what we're here for.